Hi everyone, and welcome to the first lesson on how to use Autodesk Revit. We're going to go ahead and just open the program up here. As you can see, we're running Autodesk Revit 2015. For the purposes of these instructions, you can use as far back as 2013, but any older than that, and I'd recommend that you go to the Autodesk website and download a new version. You can get a 30-day free trial of the 2015 version. And if you're a student, you can actually go ahead and download a student version. The license will last for about 3 years, and then at the end of that time, if you're still a student, you can re-up and re-download the newest version. But let's get started. So when you open it up, you can see that there are projects, families, there's even some templates already built into Revit for you. Now for US users, just be aware that the sample architecture and I'm pretty sure the sample structure projects are both metric. Alright, so to get everything started today, I just want to show you how things are set up, how the program basically works, just some introductory things. Now something a lot of students do is they go into commercial template, but that's a mistake. The reason for this is because each of the different templates, commercial, residential, architectural, they all have different properties associated with them, and your firm might choose to use a particular one. So I don't want you to get too used to one particular way of doing things. I want to give you a more general overview of how to use Revit. So for this, what I want you to do is hit New, and then select the architectural template, make sure Project is selected, then just hit OK. Okay, when you open Revit for the first time, it should be set up, as you can see, in a ribbon system. Under File are all the options that you're used to, New, Open, Save As, Export. And along the rest of the ribbon tab, you've got a bunch of different options. Architecture, Structure, Systems, Insert, Annotate, Analyze, Massing and Site, Collaborate, View, Manage, Add-ins, and Modify. In the next lesson, I'm going to go over some more stuff about Modify, what the different buttons do, how and why they work differently with different things, and stuff like that. But for right now, we're going to go back to the Architecture tab. Here we're going to be constructing with different architectural components, walls, doors, windows, stuff like that. Unlike AutoCAD, which we've seen already, Revit is actually designed to build 3D structures. You're not just building a 2D floor plan. And actually, more than that, with Revit, you're able to build 4D designs. So you can trace things out over the course of development or demolition, but we're going to save that for a much later lesson. Because like I said, as opposed to AutoCAD, which is really just a drawing system that lets you put down lines and apply your creativity to really whatever you need to use them for, Autodesk Revit is designed more for the architectural fields. So it's fulfilling a totally different need than AutoCAD is, and so we're going to have to learn how to use it in a different way. You'll notice on the left the Properties tab and the Project Browser. Personally, for me, I find these to be some of the most important tools in Revit, and I keep them open the entire time I'm working. The Properties tab shows the properties of all the different components that we might place down. But you'll notice, even right now, where there's nothing on the screen, the Properties tab is still useful. It shows view scale, detail model. It actually shows properties of your view, even when there's no objects on your screen. There's crop views, view range. View range is an important one. We're going to go over that a little bit more in a later lesson. Below that is our project browser. That's going to have things like floor plans, ceiling plans, elevations, 3D models. Basically, this window is going to give you any of the different perspectives that you may need while you're in the process of modeling. This window really just makes your life easier. It has legends, schedules, even sheet setups. Whenever you have to wind up printing out your drawings, they will be listed here under your projects. Families, which are something we're going to get into later on, are all of the components that are already built into your file, even if you haven't started using them yet. There's different doors, ceilings. This makes Revit files tend to get pretty large. You might have seen some files in kilobytes or megabytes. Revit files can run from 2 up to 500 megabytes. So these files can get pretty big, but the reason for that is because they contain so much information. One of the mistakes that I tend to see my earlier students making is that they'll accidentally close out the Properties and the Project Manager windows. If this happens and the screen is totally empty, don't worry. Just right-click and then click on Properties, and that'll bring up the Properties window. Right-click again, highlight over Browsers, and then click Project Browser, and that'll bring back both screens. There's another way you can do it if you don't remember how to do the right-clicking method. If you go up to the View tab, and then go all the way to the right and click on User Interface, that will show what things you have available to see on your screen. Right now, both Project Browser and Properties are unchecked. Click them both, and you're back and good to go. Now, if you don't like having those two windows stacked on top of each other, you can always just drag them and move them anywhere on the screen. This is especially useful if you have two monitors, and you like to have all your windows on one screen. So that could give you a good, clean working space with all your options in one area, but you have tons of choices. You can move the windows up to the top. You can have them on either side of the screen, Properties on the left, Project Browser on the right. And best of all, they'll snap into place. You can see that there. Might take a little bit of playing around, but you've got a lot of options to get it where you want and looking good there. So I'm just going to take it back to where it was, and this applies to anything that you see on the screen. You can make changes to the view of any of your different tabs. So you can move some selections over, like the Build tab. You can just shift them around, and this is going to stay with your project. Just like with AutoCAD, it's very adaptable, so you can get it set up in the way that works best for you. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and move things back to where they were, so that your screen and mine look similar while you're in the process of learning. So one last thing to note, you can actually undock these tabs from the toolbar up there and move them around. But that's going to be up to you once you get more comfortable. So for now, go ahead and click on the Modify tab, and we're going to work with that in the next lesson.